And on today's show, the defining issue of the 21st century. Part 5 of this week's interview with nationally recognized industry consultant, platform speaker, and author of Living a Life of Significance, Joe Jordan. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician in Innsmouth. Let's get down to business. Well, again, I'm with Joe Jordan, and we're looking at his books today. Living a Life of Significance sold over 50,000 copies in 4 different languages, as well as you can get his audio version. You can get this at Amazon.com, or you can hop on his site and order it direct. Joe, when I'm thinking about all that's going on right now, and I look at what is defining the 21st century, I heard you speak and you said it wasn't terrorism. I thought that was weird. It wasn't the financial crisis. I'm thinking, well, if it isn't terrorism, it isn't financial crisis, if it isn't the whole idea of the world going a whole nother paradigm, maybe even somewhat socialism, you said there was something else that was the defining issue of the 21st century.
That's right, Steve. I mean, I think most people are not talking about it. And I'll put it in context what you said. As I said, it's not terrorism, it's not global warming, it's not energy, it's the aging and ultimately declining population of the world. Humanity has never faced this before. That aging population of the world is the thing that's driving everything. Now, you know, I talked about the idea about doing something significant and worthwhile. This is what we do. We address this issue, which is the defining issue of the 21st century, which is making certain that people have independence and dignity in a lifetime, that they're going to live longer than they've ever done before. The other part of that, too, is as a result of this aging population, all of the entitlements are basically being pulled back dramatically or being dropped, not only by governments, not only by corporations, but also by cultures. You know, in Korea, it used to be that the parents and ultimately grandparents would destitute themselves to take care of the kids, because the trade back was that they would take care of them in their old age. That stopped. There are record suicides going on in Korea. This is a major disruption to the human fabric. And just to give you an idea about this, in the year 2050, there will be 2 billion people on the planet over the age of 60. There will be 5 countries with over 50 million people over the age of 60. China, India, United States, Indonesia, and Brazil. On top of that, there will be, for example, with Japan. Japan, by 2050, will lose 18% of its population. By the end of the century, it will lose half its population. China's population has tapped out this decade, okay? By 2025, they'll have 20% of the world population and 25% of the population over the age of 60. That's only going to get worse. And by the time 2050 comes around, they'll lose 1/3 of their workforce. When you have countries and don't allow immigration, what happens is they not only get a decline in their workforce, but there's a cultural issue between those people who want stability and those people who are willing to take a risk. So this is a major issue that's happening out there. And we deal with that because people can no longer rely on the government or corporations. They're going to need to have independence and dignity, and we deal with that. Now, one other thing, I just want to touch on this briefly. Some of the other demographics is, well, first of all, the United States is in pretty good shape. We've had this echo boom, and the echo boom has helped. And thank God also for the Hispanic culture, because they brought in and have our population there. I mean, I think the riches of the future is going to be having a lot of young people. But one of the things that's important is for our business, demographically, is the number of women, the feminization of our business. You know, they instinctively make connections with people. Just don't deal with the facts and the figures, but also deal with creating a relationship. You know what? I have a little joke, okay? The husband goes to the wife, says, men are more efficient because they only use 15,000 words a day, where women use 30,000 words a day. So we're much more efficient. And the woman comes back, or his wife comes back and says, well, we have used 30,000 words a day because we have to repeat everything. And he said, what? Okay. So anyway, you know, I think that's a good thing there. But let me tell you one of the best things demographically that's happening to us. It's this Gen Y group, the group that was born after 1980. This group actually is bigger than the baby boomers, okay? And I have to admit something. I'll tell everybody. I was never a fan, okay? Blame it on Mr. Rogers. Everyone's special. Everyone gets a trophy. I saw that movie about Facebook. I want to take that kid with his hoodie and stuff him somewhere, you know? I just didn't like him. I was wrong. This generation is the last generation that has one foot in the old world and one foot in the new world, because they remember books and encyclopedias. It's the first generation that's global. They actually talk to one another. You can see people in China emailing someone in the United States, so it's the first global one, okay? They believe in something called pragmatic idealism. Usually a pragmatist gets things done, an idealist, well, he's got great ideas but doesn't make it happen. They really believe it. The underlying thing that they want to do is to make certain that they have a career that's significant and has world impact. We own that space. But that's my point. We never talk about it. What we talk about is commissions and assets under management. They are not turned on necessarily about making more money. There's a disconnect with the way we recruit people into our business and what they actually want. What they want is what we do. I never started this thing on living a life of significance with them in mind, but isn't it interesting how it falls in line? And let me tell you, the second biggest problem that financial services has is when you go and talk to someone, they all look like me, either bald, gray hair, and they're in their 50s. We got to bring the new generation in. We got to make certain that they understand that we can offer them a career that will fulfill what they're about. On top of that, what they love is to be part of a team instead of being an individual. Succession planning is a huge issue in our business. And when we begin to appeal and talk about and culturally believe, and not just say the words, that we are dealing with the defining issue of the 21st century, that there's no other place where people can have independence and dignity other than dealing with us, then that will have appeal to them, and guess what? It solves another big problem.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas on the show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer. Miss an episode? Just go out to our site, downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. Want to email me? steve@downtobusiness.tv. And remember, you could be wiser as an Ash Brokerage advisor. I'm Steve Savant.